Okay. I think we're all good. Just got to make some edits in some of these. I'm streaming to multiple platforms, so I've got to make some edits. How do I do that? Edit. NFL. I'll stream under the sports category in Twitch. There's something more specific than sports. NFL football. 14 viewers. Yeah, I'll take that over sports. Sports, NFL football is a game apparently. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to go for sports. Okay. Just looking at myself. Alright, I think we're all good. Okay, so the principle here is just, this is just a way for me to express how I feel about certain players, and also just for my own benefit, just seeing how teams might be shaping up into 2024 based on the contracts that they've got, cap space, things like that, seeing which players they should bring back. I've already, in a video that I've already made, I've done like 20 teams or something. So I'm starting at the Raiders and using over the cap here, just like working my way down the list. So yeah, we'll just see how we go. I might cover the ones I've already covered in that video, or if I'm buggered after covering all these teams, then I'll just upload the video. Yeah, so I think we're all good logistically, are we? Okay. See how we go. I might cover the ones I've already covered. We're doing alright out there. Buggered after covering all these teams, then I'll just upload the video. Okay. All right. So, how's the it's only a fair output. But at the end of the day, and at the end of the day, I'm not streaming a game or anything. Like, it's just static. Pretty static stuff. Alright, so the Las Vegas Raiders, not much cap space. Oh, sorry. Into 2024, they got a decent amount of cap space. I'll just see who the team should consider cutting without this post-June 1 designation, which I'm not a huge expert on. My understanding is that the team still has to pay the guy. It's just that the cap savings is immediate. But it is postponed to later years. But so it's not ideal to use post June 1, but if you really need the cash, I suppose you should consider it. So Daniel Carlson's a great kicker. I've never liked Faison, is that how you pronounce him? The cornerback. So I'd probably cut him, save 3 mil. Never liked Spillane, save 3 mil cutting him. So we're looking at about 6.5. I don't even like AJ Cole as a punter. I know that he's well regarded in the league, but from memory, I don't think he gets his punts off quick enough. It's like you cannot, as a punter, the priority is just to get the ball at least 30 yards downfield. I don't care if you can hit it for 60 or 70 yards. Just get the ball away, man. Because otherwise you're giving away potential touchdowns. I don't like... So, yeah, I've evaluated almost every player in the NFL up until like the 2022 and 2023 draft classes. I haven't evaluated very much, and I haven't evaluated some other guys that might have just... Yeah, so Morig I don't recall evaluating, I'm not sure. There's some names here, like particularly lower down the list of all these guys are often like rookies or second year guys that I don't know how good they are. But otherwise, pretty much everyone in the who was in the NFL in 2020 or 2021, and anyone who was in the draft classes from 2021 prior, I know how good they are, in my opinion. So I can save about 8 mil just for making those cuts. And then if we're going the post June 1 route, Colton Miller is one of the best offensive linemen in the league. So they've got a great mainstay there. So that's really encouraging. Renfro is good enough to not deserve to be cut there. Jimmy G's just a system quarterback pretty clearly. He's not making plays for you. But 15 million dead money to cut him, I'm not sure that's worth it. They've got heaps of cap space, so I probably wouldn't bother with that. Now my thumb... Huh? Why did I pick on Andre James in my thumbnail if you're only saving 960 grand post June 1 cutting? I thought it was saving 6 mil. Oh, it must have been the 2023. Ah, there you go. Alright, so I can save you... Yeah, I could get the Raiders cap space to about 60 mil. And now we'll look at guys that they should consider bringing back. Bilal Nichols is a monster. Still only 28. I'd bring him back. Jesper Horsted, I love him. He's a great underrated tight end. He's not being used much by them, but he deserves to be out there for sure. Alright. So that's the format, guys. That's a little intro. Now I do wonder, like, are comments going to come through Restream? I'm using Restream. Do I trust Restream enough? Right, so if I scroll down, is everything visible there to you guys? I can view on YouTube. And then if I open Twitch, is it working all right? See, Twitch is telling me that I'm offline, but then it's also telling me that I've been streaming for 10 minutes, so I don't know what that's about. And it's still saying I'm in makers and crafting. Is Twitch a good platform? People, sentiment about it seems pretty low. Okay, it's coming through now. But it's not, I don't want it to be in makers and crafting, it's in sports. Because I like sports and I don't care who knows. Come on, you can edit while I'm streaming. No, it's in sports. Sports. Throw on this thumbnail, that'll get the viewers, man. I'm so good at titles that I don't even have to put a description in there because it's self-explanatory. Recent broadcast? What? So it's just ended what I was just doing? What's going on? Well, Twitch is effing out. But anyway, this content's probably aimed for my sports YouTube channel. What more can I do, man? So, yeah. Alright, carrying on. Teams, Los Angeles Chargers. So they're $34 million in the red already. Khalil's making enough money where you consider cutting him even though he's dominant. I'd cut Mike Williams. He's a good receiver, but $32 million cap hit? No way. I don't like Lindsley. I'd cut him. Keenan's not worth that. He's a good player, solid, but there's some receivers out there, like usually they're short, but we got Jarvis Landry, Deshaun Hamilton, DeMornay Pearson, L. A million times the players of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. So you bring in them for cheap. Man, hopefully somewhere I wrote that the JC Jackson contract was a disaster for the Chargers, who have otherwise identified some really good players. So they must have cut or traded Sebastian Joseph Day, even though he's a good player. But that, yeah, JC Jackson, are they paying him $20 million for him not to play for them next year or some shit? Eric Kendricks cut him. Morgan Fox cut him. All these other guys, just like, it's not significant enough savings. So let's see. Khalil's good enough to deserve that paycheck, so I'd keep him probably. Cut Williams, so that's 20 mil, 29 mil, 52 mil, 60 mil. So then post June 1. And then I'd post June 1 cut Joey Bosa because he's probably one of the most overrated players in the league. He looks good in pads just like his brother Nick, but spends more time on the ground and complaining to refs than actually like beating his man. Like he might be able to finish off some plays because give the Bosa brothers credit, they are pretty relentless in their rush, but I just don't think they've got it like consistently beating guys like quickly. Like if a play breaks down and the quarterback's got to figure out something to do, like there's not enough good quarterbacks in the league, I feel like, to escape pressure properly. So yeah, the Bosa brothers will get good sack numbers because the quarterbacks are incompetent generally. But replace him with Like the difference between Bosa and Mac, I think, is night and day. So I could save you another 22 mil. So I established I could save you 60 mil from cutting their overpaid receivers, and then so I could save you $82 million, which would mean that we're suddenly about 50 mil in the black, which is a lot of money for a competing team with a great young quarterback. Are they paying? Have they paid him yet? Oh yeah, oh yeah, he's worth that. Yeah, they're paying him. That's for sure. Look at that, a safety getting 24 mil a year. So yeah, 50 mil. Who are the guys that they should bring back? Gerald Everett for sure. Will Clapp's solid, and he's getting a lot of snaps, man. I'm great at evaluating offensive linemen. He was one of my top offensive linemen in 2018 or 2019, and like drafted late or not at all, hung around the league, and now he's a starter. What can I say? Will Greer's a solid quarterback. Isang Bassi's a really good corner. I last evaluated him when he was coming out of college, but you know, he's getting some snaps too. But none of those guys are really big money dudes, so it's kind of a moot point for me to... Hold on, should I bring it up? Grading every player in the NFL. No, that's not what I want. How do I not stream? Can I just do this? I don't want to show off everything I've got cooking. Oh yeah. Definitely not the most technically savvy way to be doing this, but so we've got that, and y'all can see that, can't you? So they're only really big money guys. These are my top 5 NFL free agents at each position group, and a lot of these guys you probably haven't heard of, but that's what I do, man. Identifying underrated players, guys that you could pick up for like $1 million a year, and then you could win Super Bowls with them. T. Higgins is probably going to get at least $25 million a year, but there's a lot of outstanding receivers that you can get for much less than that. Trent Brown might cost a bit. Connor Williams will cost a lot, I think, because he's well regarded in the league now, after the Chargers let him go. The Cowboys let him go. Jonah Jackson's a Pro Bowl guard, so he'll probably get a good payday. Chris Jones is going to get a bag, probably 30 mil a year, if the Chiefs can't retain him. I made this list in a rushed manner, so forgive me if it looks a bit whack. The Randy Gregory-Frank Clark combo didn't work out because Gregory's playing on the Niners now. Stephon Gilmore probably get paid. Micah Hyde deserves a massive payday. He might get 16 mil a year for a couple more years because he's the rock of that Bills defense, I think. Kendall Fuller's been a good contributor. Has Deion Jones had a good year for the Panthers? Yeah. Anyways, that's just showing off. So from there, really So I'd be happy if the Chargers cut Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and brought in T. Higgins. I think there's probably more value in other receivers on the market, but that's the only real big money player that the team would have to worry about trying to afford, or all teams pretty much, based on my view of these players. How are the Cowboys looking? So there's 16 mil in the red, sorry. And no obvious cut candidates. Brian Anger, get him out of there. So you save 3 mil cutting him. I'd much rather Cooper Rush at quarterback than Dak Prescott. The loyalty the Cowboys are showing Dak Prescott, even though he's just a fumble risk, freaking turnover magnet. Look, he's got a sexy throwing motion and he can run a little bit, but dude, one read quarterback, statue in the pocket unless he actually decides to run. Just liability. Give me Cooper Rush, man. Any day of the week. Oh, they're buggered. How can you have a competitive team with Dak earning that much money? Post June 1, Brandon Cooks. But they're buggered, dude. They're not going to be able to be players in the off-season giving out these sort of contracts. Give me Dorrance Armstrong over DeMarcus Lawrence any day. Zach Martin, solid player, but I'd rather Connor McGovern, who's now playing on the Bills. I'd rather McGovern over Zach Martin, and McGovern might be on 5 mil a year, and Zach Martin's on 28 mil a year, and is 5 years older. See, Jerry Jones loves his mainstays. He's still got Tyron Smith at left tackle, even though they should have traded Tyron Smith for a first round pick a couple of years ago, because I think he's underperforming now. Because what is he on this year? 8 mil. I think he got a different contract. CeeDee Lamb, I don't like much. Yeah, they're not going to improve next year. They can't with the cap situation. Based on this, I'm no expert on the cap, but based on what Over the Cap is telling me here, they can't improve their team. And they might lose some guys. Pollard, great player. Gilmore, Armstrong, Dante Fowler's good. Trent Sieg, probably the best long snapper in the league. Biadish, great underrated center. So, based on the contracts that they're handing out into next year, the Cowboys are knackered. There's no room for improvement. Trayvon Diggs might have some nice interception numbers, but just gives away too many receptions. Not really a factor in run support. Yeah, the future is not looking bright for the Cowboys because of the Prescott contract. They're paying Terrence Steele $17 million a year at some point. Interesting. Okay. Daniel Jones gets some flack, but he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL at the moment, I think. I'd cut Glowinski for 5 mil. I'd cut Slayton for 6 mil, so that's 11. Probably. I know I could get some better tight ends for better value. We've got Kevin Rader, the monstrous blocker at the very least, and a good yards after catch threat because he's such a physical guy. Kenny Yeboah, Pro Wells isn't even in the league, and he'd be one of the league's best tight ends. So Waller's good enough to deserve that contract as long as he plays in every game. But Anyway. Have at least 40 mil in cap space into next season. And next off season. No standout guys there. Running back's another position group that's loaded with talented players, but who fly under the radar for whatever reason. Namely, Jarrett Patterson, Tony Pollard, and Demontre Tuggle. Jarrett Patterson, Demontre Tuggle, and Philip Lindsay. Dudes that are very short, but are just very difficult to tackle, know what they're doing. Dearness Johnson is wasted on the Jaguars at the moment. I don't think... NFL standings. Can you guys see that all right? Giants 5-9, very disappointing because they were a feel-good story from last season, but you know that kind of record would happen when who are their big money guys this year? Adoree Jackson's trash, and they've been paying him shitloads of money for years. They don't have any egregious contracts this year. Like who's taken up the cap space? Yeah, that won't help. That won't help at all. The Giants traded for Leonard Williams and paid him a huge bag when they had Dexter Lawrence. I think BJ Hill, he's a good player who went to the Bengals and has had some success. RJ McIntosh was a good defensive tackle. They were loaded at defensive tackle, but they still traded for Leonard Williams because, he was a high first-round pick. And he's okay. He's an okay player, but I'd take Raheem Nunez-Roche over Leonard Williams. Oh, the Eagles have always got some shenanigans with their cap. I'd cut Kevin Byard. So the Eagles must have traded for Byard. I'd cut him, 13 mil saved. I'd post June 1 Hassan Reddick. That's 20 mil saved. I'd cut post June 1 Maddox. That's 27 mil saved. 27 plus 29, let's call it 57 mil. I love Cunningham as a linebacker. And good linebackers are... there's a lot of really good linebackers, but as far as I'm concerned, Devontae Downs, it's a travesty that Devontae Downs isn't even in the NFL because he's one of the league's best players if he was in the league. Like, watch my Devontae Downs highlight tape that I've made and you'll see why. He's just fundamentally sound and just an absolute physical monster. So Julio's a great player who's getting a bit old now, but Roderick Johnson, one of the best offensive linemen in the league, he's not getting any snaps at all, but I'd prioritize bringing him back. Sean Bradley, I loved out of college. He's not getting any snaps, and I'm assuming that's because of guys like Shaq Leonard, who's playing in front of him. Jack Stoll's really good. And, another late drafted or undrafted guy who I loved but the league obviously didn't share that sentiment. But as soon as he gets some opportunities in training camp with the Eagles, I'm presuming they see that he's great and he's getting decent amount of snaps. So why isn't Sean Bradley getting reps? Who do they like so much? I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of dead money that's going on there. The Eagles are looking alright. Their future's looking decent. Have they paid Jalen Hurts yet? Oh yeah. Good for him. $80 million cap space. Oh, I've already covered. Okay, so there's some teams already. I'll just go over what I've said in the past. James Smith-Williams, I believe, his contract's run out. I'd bring back Kendall Fuller. Jacoby Brissett's a solid quarterback. Sly's a decent kicker. Ifa Ubada's a good DN. Kaliki Hudson, decent play out of college, I recall. I feel like a big reason why the Commanders have been held back, despite their decent amount of talent, like, what are they? 4-10. I think that indicates a pretty bad coaching job because they've got some good players on their roster. Sadiq Charles is a great player. Terrell Burgess is a great player who's not getting any snaps. Cam Curl is getting shitloads of snaps and deservedly so. James Smith-Williams is much better than Casey Toohill, so he should be on the field more. So why are they so shit? I'd probably hypothesize it's their awful receivers. Like, they're going to be paying Terry McLaurin $24 million next year. He's just such a mediocre player, in my opinion. Sad. The Bears. Sad old Bears. 63. Still got a lot of cap space in the next year. I mean, that'll happen when you've got a quarterback on a rookie deal. Just inevitably. But holy crap, they've got some bad contracts, which I've covered in my Bears signed pad models video. Tremaine Edmonds is... Bruh. No. If you want your linebacker out of position, put Tremaine Edmonds on the field. Great athlete, big dude, doesn't know what he's doing. I'd cut Eddie Jackson for that amount of money. Otherwise, they've got some hits and misses. DJ Moore's a pretty decent player. Nate Davis is great. TJ Edwards is solid. Kara Santos is a really good kicker. Darnell Wright was a great pickup in the draft. A very good rookie offensive lineman. Tevin Jenkins has improved a lot and has become a really good offensive lineman, I think. Yeah, they're looking alright. It's just that Tremaine Edmonds' contract is just egregious, in my opinion. And they can cut Eddie Jackson, so yeah, it's really just the Tremaine Edmonds contract that's problematic for me, for them. Okay, so they might have to consider bringing Santos back. Yeah. The Lions. They're top of their division. Good for them. I don't know how they're doing it. I think it's just the product of a crappy division probably, because I don't really like their roster that much. And that's why I think Aaron Rodgers is one of the most overrated players ever, is that he was just beating up on these guys in the regular season, and it was only when he had success as a rookie and on his rookie deal, I presume, because the rest of the roster was loaded with great talent because they could afford to pay good talent around him. But as soon as Rodgers was getting his maximum level contracts, the Packers have done bugger all because they've gotten to the championship games. But I just think they year to year they have pretty easy seasons because they're going up against these Muppets. But 10-4 the Lions, very impressive. How are they even doing that? Because Goff's a mid player. Tracy Walker's nice. Jonah Jackson's awesome. They have a strong offensive line. I think that's it. Outside of Ragnar. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be an interesting case study of how the hell the Lions are 10-4 when they don't have any big time players, in my opinion. I'd cut Goff for sure, so that's 26 mil saved. Probably post June 1 Taylor Decker. He's not deserving of that much money. Matt Nelson's an underrated offensive lineman. Wonder how much money Jonah Jackson's set to make. I'd pay him. Is he he's on my list here. Interior offensive lineman. He's on my list. I'd probably pay him 10 mil. He deserves 10 mil a year for sure. Is there any talk about Jonah Jackson's contract in the media? Top 100 free agents for 2024. Okay. PFF seems to have a lot of sway in the NFL regarding contracts. How likely is a contract extension for Lions guard Jonah Jackson? Again, Jackson was a guy I loved out of college. Drafted in the 3rd round, I think. And he's balled out since. Why can't I? Can I not scroll this page? Okay, here we go. Jackson isn't an elite guard. Okay, bro. Yeah, all told, it's going to take more than $10 million annually to re-sign Jackson. So you just making a Pro Bowl can make a big difference in a dude's career. Okay. Bugger all cap space as it stands. I would much rather see Bakhtiari in the interior of the offensive line because he's a great athlete, can move around really well, but on the edge, there's only so much range you can have as a 6'4" dude. Give me a Trent Brown who's 6'8", or Isaiah Prince who's 6'8" as well, maybe, or Roderick Johnson who's 6'6" and really agile. Bakhtiari is a good tackle, but just 40 mil. Oh, the Packers are fucked. I'd post June 1 Kenny Clark to save 17 mil. Yeah, it's not looking good for them moving forward, considering what? They're just overpaying, man. David Long's a solid cornerback. And those are very hard to come by. Darnell Savage was a safety I liked out of college, but I reevaluated him like 3 years after he was drafted, and he just hasn't really improved much, I don't think. When he's gotten heaps of reps historically, so it's a bit disappointing. Harrison Smith is... yeah. I mean, how many highlight tapes have we seen where a guy's just running past Harrison Smith for a long touchdown? Like, he might be able to... in a phone booth, he's a decent player because he hits hard and all that, but just... he hasn't got the mobility, and he hasn't... even in his athletic prime, I don't think he did. He might have been better served to be like a specialist linebacker, because how big is he? (6'2", 211), but he looks bigger than that. Like, is that based on his combine results? Yeah, I'd cut him. Consider post-June wanting Kirk. But his contract's expiring anyway, so I don't know how that works. Dalton Reisner's really good, and he's getting snaps. The Vikings are still in the hunt, and that's because they're giving guys like Reisner an opportunity. And the Broncos let him go, and he's not on much money this year, I don't think, but that's a mistake, I think. Hakeem Adeniji great, not getting any snaps. You realise he and Isaiah Prince were a huge part of the Bengals Super Bowl run recently. I made highlight tapes of those two guys. And the Bengals let him go, brought in some trash guys that they're paying like $10 million a year. And the Bengals are just trading water now. Kaios Tong is getting some snaps. He's old. I didn't realize he's so old. He came out in the 2021 draft, I think, but he's a force to be reckoned with. Cut Jonnu Smith. How are they going this year? 6 and 8's not so bad. I'd post June 1 Grady Jarrett, considering guys like... the league evaluates defensive tackles pretty well, I would say. Jeremiah Ledbetter's getting some snaps for whatever team he's on. So all of these guys could end up earning a few $1 million a year. But still, you can't be paying Jarrett that much. He's a good player, but just not deserved of that. I don't think. But yeah, this cap situation. Are there any bad contracts moving forward? Lindstrom sucks. Other than that, there's no outrageous contracts, I don't think. No priority re-signings there, I don't think. Oh, look at this, guys. 40 million cap space. Moten deserves that. I made a video of showing him shutting down Montez Sweat, who just earned like $100 million. I'd post June 1 Dante Jackson. I'm not a fan of him. All athlete, no technique. Same with CJ Henderson. Gross Matos was great coming out of college, as was Chenault. Grugier Hill's sticking around. Troy Hill, one of the best DBs in the league. Bring him back. Deion Jones. I'm really bummed that the Panthers have got such a bad record because they've got some real dudes on their team. But why is Deion Jones playing so little? Gio Ritchie's good and not playing at all. Probably just a bad coaching job. Is it Frank Reich's the coach, right? Talk about failing upwards. Didn't do anything with the Colts for years and then gets the Panthers job. Saints are always in cap. Fuck, they do some black magic shit with their cap. So I don't even know how to navigate this, to be honest. Which makes this whole exercise seem kind of ridiculous. Don't they do restructuring? Oh, that's what I should do, is see, like, the teams that are knackered moving forward, like the Cowboys, I need to see if I can restructure some contracts, whatever that means. Get rid of Carr. So mid. I don't even want to just... I'll just look at the cap number and see whether they're worth it. Ramchek's not that good. He's good, just not that good. Kyle Granderson's mid. I bet he's getting way more snaps than Peyton Turner, which is a travesty. What's their record at the moment? 7-8. I'll just go back to the Cowboys and see. Before I do, I'll just see what free agents are coming up for the Saints. Michael Thomas, they should prioritise bringing back. And no one else. So what's all this restructuring shit? Because they just need some breathing room. Doesn't that just push the money down the line and it doesn't actually achieve much? I don't know. Is anyone talking about this, like, Cowboys salary cap situation? Because it's a big story, man. Prescott's got to be like a top 10 worst contract in the NFL at this point. In sports at this point, I would say. It's too yucky to even look at. Probably cut Gage, even though you got the same amount of dead money as savings, but he's not very good, I don't think. They're flush with space pretty well anyway. Definitely post June 1 Chris Godwin and Carlton Davis. So yeah, let's say 10 or 6, 20, 40 mil on top of 47 mil. Things are looking pretty good for them moving forward. Baker's solid. I like Greg Gaines, Matt Filer, Aaron Stinney, Chase Edmonds is really good. Zach China's a good long snapper. John Walford's not better than Dak Prescott. Yeah, they'd be looking really good if they can just get rid of the Godwin and Davis contracts, I reckon. I'd probably cut Baker. He's a decent player, but just not worth that much, and they don't have much dead money on just straight up cutting him. And I'd post June 1 DJ Humphries because he's solid but not worth that much. Jalen Thompson, much prefer Deontay Thompson, safety from the same draft class as him. He hasn't gotten any looks in the NFL really, and Jalen Thompson has had just heaps of snaps and just classic leading with your head moron. Fortunately, they've got an all-world quarterback. Like, yeah. Tristan Collins a solid O-lineman. Rashad Fenton's a good corner. Kevin Strong, I think he was with the Niners recently. He's getting some snaps. He's a decent D-tackle. Elfline's one of the best interior offensive linemen in the league, not getting any snaps. Marlon Mack's good. And it was Jeremiah Ledbetter, not Jonathan, who's great. I don't think Jonathan's all that good. I need to look this up. Are Jonathan and Jeremiah Ledbetter related? I recall looking up their Wikipedias and it not saying anything about that they're brothers. Yeah, Jeremiah's getting snaps for the Jaguars and deservedly so. And I think that's a big reason why the Jags are 8-6. That Noteboom contract was bizarre. They basically gave Noteboom, looks like $20 million a year, and he hadn't played in many NFL snaps, so they were just basing that entirely on how he was performing in practice, and he's just not that good. They got some cap space, but 40 mil in the NFL goes pretty quick when you just fill out the roster, right? Bryson Hopkins is a good tight end. Is my guy Bobby Brown fourth getting snaps? He's still only 23. Yeah, he is getting some snaps. Maybe enough to make a highlight package of him. Even though, like, defensive tackles, often their highlights, the best defensive tackles, the highlights often is just them soaking up, like, double teams so that other guys can make plays. Rams are 8-7. They might still make the playoffs. $1 million cap space going into next offseason, and I'm presuming it's the Bosa contract that's fucking it up. 42 mil. What a joke. Cut Greenlaw, save 6 mil. I'm not a huge fan of Juszczyk, so I'd probably cut him because they're desperate for the cap space. That's 11 mil saved. I'd post June 1 Trent Williams, so that's 31 mil. I'd post June 1 Chavarius Ward too. They're not going to have much flexibility. And they've got Randy Gregory. Chase Young. What the hell? How did they get him? Wow, talk about selling low. But, you know, James Smith-Williams came out in, I think, the year after Chase Young and was better than Chase Young out of the draft. James Smith-Williams was a 7th round pick, and so that probably meant that the Commanders felt comfortable letting Young go. How did they pull this off? That's huge news, man, because Chase Young was so hyped out of college. Who wants to see a James Smith-Williams highlight tape? Actually, I'll just look at Commanders snap count. (2023) That's the year that we're in. Smith Williams isn't even playing all that much. Who have they got on the edge? Now that they traded away all those guys. I presume that these guys are now picking up the slack. He's been inactive. So who's playing for them? Is there a week-to-week snap count? Defense. Oh, it's only updated to week 2. Why even bother? This isn't adding up, man. Who's playing for them? Haven't heard of KJ Henry. So this site considers Casey Toohill a linebacker. Andre Jones must be a defensive end. So I love Cam Curl, but surely just to give him a breather, you should sub in, especially a dominant player like Terrell Burgess. I'm making a video making fun of Mike Tomlin's poor coaching decisions as far as personnel choices, and the guy I'd pick on after that is definitely Ron Rivera, because he's had some great players, but his teams have underperformed because they've just been giving Antonio Gibson a horrendous fumble risk, just all around just woeful player by NFL standards, in my opinion. Just snap after snap, year after year. And yeah, these receivers are utter trash, relatively speaking. And if they roll with Taylor, like Sam Howell's good, but just stick with the feel good story in Taylor Heineke. Like, they had cheap quarterback situation for years. Pretty well. And Wentz is okay. I bet they just have a bit of a lack of a running game. Brian Robinson Jr. probably improves that, but their receivers just don't get open, man. They just don't get open. They might be fast, they might do well on a 100-meter track, but they just don't get open. And they had Steven Sims Jr. recently. They had Hakeem. Who do they have? They've had some other guys come through there, and they just drop the ball. Or the opposite of that, technically. Catch the ball better than the others. Yeah, so I'm getting Kevin Strong and Kevin Givens mixed up. Kevin Givens is quite good. I don't recall Kevin Strong being all that good. But yeah, the Niners can't really do much going into this offseason because of their contracts. 31 mil to Trent Williams. Like, Armstead's not worth that much. Ugh. $3 million cap space for the Seahawks. Oh my. They've screwed the pooch, ladies and gentlemen. Post June 1 Tyler Lockett saving 17 mil. Post June 1 Geno saving 39 mil. I said before the season began that the Seahawks prioritizing Drummond Jones over Shelby Harris was a travesty. And how's it working out for the Seahawks? 7-7. And I would definitely cut Quandre Diggs, even though there's 10 million dead money, because he's just a safety risk. So what was it with between Geno? So 39 mil plus Diggs. So 50 mil in cap space they should have if they made the right decisions. In which case they should prioritize re-signing Phil Haynes, a very good offensive lineman. Noah Fant, great tight end. Darrell Taylor, it's good out of college. I haven't reevaluated him, but I'm assuming he's good. Wait, how did Frank Clark end up back on the Seahawks? Because I thought he signed with the Broncos. Yeah, so the Broncos released Frank Clark, and the Seahawks brought him back. Michael Jackson Sr. is a very good cornerback. But yeah, they're going to struggle to... I presume that they're not going to make those cuts that I just named, so I think they're going to be worse going into next season. And that's it. I've covered all the other teams. I might just upload what I've said about the other teams prior, because no one's giving a shit about my live stream as far as like comments and shit. But that's okay, guys. That's okay. I just want to let my feelings be heard, okay? So to recap, some teams that stick out as like with some egregious contracts that's going to hamstring them is from this stream was the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Niners. Is there cap space? I don't even know what to do with the Saints here, because there's always some bullshit surrounding these numbers. Yeah. Anyway, if you've been watching, I appreciate you.